Well, the ABC chair, Ida Buttrose, has come out swinging, defending the national broadcaster against a campaign pushing to defund and privatise the company. Meanwhile, one of its kids' TV shows has ruffled some feathers as China demands an apology, claiming the show is racist. Joining me now is the Executive Director at the Menzies Research Centre, Nick Cater. Nick, great to see you tonight. Look, I did my editorial off the top about the ABC. I think they're a lost cause. I actually suggested maybe Andrew Bolt should take over as chairman and we might get something done then. But this is an age-old problem. What do you think is the endemic, entrenched belief system within the ABC right now?
Well, they've all been to university, so that tells you something about it, Gleeson. They're predominantly, lazy left, I call it. That's the people who, adopt a position which is generally, we might think, to the left, but they do it really without thinking, without any curiosity, without any They seem possible to imagine to themselves that they might be, have one perspective and they need to counterbalance that with another. I mean, you and I have been in newspapers, right? And you always have to do that. You're writing for the readers, not yourself. But I think this is something to do with the public service ethos. They lose connection with the customers. In a newspaper, your customer makes a decision every day about whether or not you're going to stay in business or whether or not you keep your job. ABC, the money's always there, so there's almost a disdain for the customer. And I thought that in Ida Buttrose, who's a wonderful woman, she's done some great things, but I think she's caught a bit of that when she seems to be saying, well, we're getting criticism because
Absolutely.
It's extreme right-winginess with a campaign against us. It may just be that a lot of viewers, former viewers, in my case, actually don't like the thing anymore.
Nick, I was interested during the course of the pandemic, they put a vote to the staff as to whether or not they should, receive their 2% or 2.5% CPI increase. Like, this was in the heart of the pandemic. This is back in July, when everyone was a lot of people were losing their jobs. 80% of the staff said, yep, we want the 2.5%. So as others were losing their jobs, they were copping the extra coin. I also think, Nick, it's interesting that you've got people, former Prime Ministers like Kevin Rudd and Malcolm Turnbull, who are agitating for this Royal Commission into News Corp. When you think about the cabal that exists in the left-wing media in this country, and you think about the ABC, The Guardian, SBS, The Age, the Australian Financial Review and the Sydney Morning Herald, and of course Twitter, and there would be others, that's a pretty strong sort of left-wing component to our media landscape. And of course News Corp, which is, sort of leans to the right, is there as a counterbalance, I would have thought.
I think that's exactly right, Gleeson, and it's a brave fight they put up at News Limited. But in terms of media diversity, I mean, when you've got a Labor Prime Minister criticising News Corp for bias, and you've got a Liberal Prime Minister criticising them equally as firmly, I would have thought that shows you're pretty much down the middle,
yes.
which I actually think is where News Limited tends to be, because it's on News Corp, because it has to be. It needs to be. It cannot drift too far away from the people who they want to watch it, because it's commercial, which goes back, I think, to the problem at the ABC fundamentally, and that is that it's not a commercial operation. Many people there probably never worked in a business, or possibly a long time ago, so they're not grounded, and that's why they think, it's no problem to take a pay rise in the middle of a COVID-19 crisis where people are losing their jobs and losing hours. Whereas, I think at the sharp end, it's the old profit motive, isn't it? It actually does keep you very humble in a way towards your customers, your viewers or your readers. That's lacking at the ABC. And I don't know as much you can do about that, because it's just the nature of the beast.
The other thing too, Nick, is, the woke brigade are very much alive to anything at the ABC. And now they've been caught up in their own weird and wonderful web with this horrible histories episode, which centred on the story of ancient China Empress Wu Zetian, the only woman to ever rule China. And the accusation is that, she's played by a white actress. She's eating insects, rats, jellyfish and hair, and that has become stereotypical. And China is demanding an apology. I mean, China's demanding a lot of Australia right now. I think this would be sort of way down on the totem pole. But nevertheless, I mean, seriously, are we at that point where we're trying to depict a certain history within a country, and here we are with China demanding an apology? I find it extraordinary.
Yeah, well, because China knows the woke tricks, doesn't it? It's learnt them. You know, it knows how to turn around and accuse Australians of racism. You know, and so that's the game they're playing, and they'll continue to play it. You know, playing at the sensitivities of some people in Australia, not us. I wouldn't have thought, but yeah, I think this was supposed to be a humorous history, or that's the way I read it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But it does seem a little bit rude to suggest the Chinese eat hair. I mean, a former correspondent, I have to say, I did report on a cat and dog restaurant where they actually go and cook your cat and dog to order in a hot pot, which wasn't really my cup of tea. But hair, I don't know. Is there any much nutrition in it?
Yeah, look, yeah, I've seen some of those wet markets over there, Nick, and I've got to say, no, they can have that. Always good to see you, Nick Cater. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Gleeson.